Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to Forever Falling. Today we are flying the EF-24G Mischief, and I will be going over a couple different things of pre-flight checklists, startup procedures, shutdown procedures, and a couple fun things while we're in the air. So, without further ado, let's get at it. Volumes and the command volumes from the people in the towers actually talking to us. Then moving directly down, we have our main multi-function display here. This is going to have several different things for us to select between to access all the different parts of the actual plane itself. Then moving over here to our right hand side, we have our MRAD button, which stops all transmissions when you are jamming. We'll explain this a little bit further into the video. Then moving down, we have our master mode selectors. So you have air to air and air to ground, whether you're going to be targeting people in the sky or people on the ground, along with if you're going to be using your weapons or the electronic warfare system. Then moving down here, you have another multi-function display. This is going to display all of our engine temps and diagnostics and things that we'll need to know from that. Then directly to the right of it, we have our canopy up and down selector. Right now our canopy is up, so it's not closed off yet. Then you have your brake hold, so brake locks essentially. And then you have your right and left engine covers for your right and left engine toggles to start up or shut down your engines. Then right here you have your controls to adjust your joystick to however you like. Then moving to the middle, you have your arm system, so whether you're going to have your armaments on or off. Then your radar selector to turn your radar on and off. Display power and display brightness. Then coming down, all of your lights. Then you have your helmet visor and night vision, along with to adjust your seat height as well. Now moving to the left here, we have our jettison selectors, and we'll go over how to do all of that here in a little bit. Then you have your actual jettison button, what you're going to actually jettison. Then to here you have your wing sweep indicator. So right now you can see it's indicating that our wings are all the way in the back, and if we look, sure enough, our wings are folded all the way back. Then moving down, you have your gear position selector. So right now the gear is down because we are on the ground. Then your flaps. Right here is your main battery switch, your APU, your launch bar to extend and retract it for whenever you're on a carrier. Same thing with your hook for carrier landings, and your catapult trim for when you're taking off on the carrier. Then you have your fuel port right here to select it open or closed for if you're going to do air-to-air refueling. Coming back, you have your throttle. Right to the side of your throttle, you have this bar, which is going to actually move your wings if the plane is on. It'll put your wings either forward or backwards, or when you set it to auto, the plane itself will adjust how that needs to happen. Throttle height controller, and then lastly, your MP3 for the in-game volume. So, starting off inside the EF-24G, the startup procedures. First things first, we're going to go and power on our battery. And see right now we have pretty good battery health. So now we're going to close our canopy. And that's going to come down over us and lock down right inside of here. Next, you have your APU, and you'll flip that on. You'll see your APU is going to have 3 lights. So what you need to do is you need to wait for your APU to fully spool up, and you get all 3 lights, 1 yellow, 2 green. Once that happens, you can come over here to your engines, and you start with your right engine. Right engine on. And you hear that start to spool up. Now while that's spooling up directly in front of us, display power. Go ahead and turn that on. Now you'll see here, this is our engine indicator, so engine 1, engine 2. You'll see engine 2 is sitting idle at about 16 RPMs, anywhere from 100 to 120 degrees. And then here is our fuel indicator. So we'll see that right now we have our main fuel tank is completely full, and then we have 2 external fuel tanks that are also completely full right now. Engine 2 is sitting at idle, so now we can go ahead and flip on engine 1. That's going to spool up to about 25, 26 RPMs, and then it's going to come right back down and idle at 16. Then I have a preset already made for what we're going to be doing today. However, we'll go in another video and explain how all of this works later. So now we are inside the plane, batteries on, APU is on, both engines are started completely. We are good to go. So next things Next thing up is we're going to go ahead and test that our engines work. Engines work beautifully. So we can go ahead and come over here to our communications tab, go to ground, or sorry, communications ATC, the airport that we're at, and we're going to go and request takeoff. And if I turn this up, they actually will give us the clearance. And if you look now here onto our map, you'll see it gives us a vector for how to get to the runway. So now that we are good to go and we have clearance, we'll go ahead and hand on the throttle, finger on the brake, come up here to our HUD and make sure we power this on. You'll see your HUD is going to have everything you need to know for flying. And it also indicates when your finger is on the brake, it'll show it up here in your HUD. So finger on the brake, we'll go ahead and turn off our brake locks, grab onto our throttle, and so when you look and see when we adjust our rudders left and right, that's what's actually going to help us nose wheel steer. So we'll go ahead and let off the brake, give it a little bit of power, and we are rolling. We'll go ahead and taxi our way to runway 27 if I'm not mistaken. Clear left, clear right, we're good to go. So now that we are just short of the runway, we will go ahead and stop right here. Now that everything is set, we're going to go ahead and go through and check and make sure canopy down, engines right and left are on. Everything else is good here. We're good on fuel. Armaments are set to safe. Lights are on. Coming here, flaps are set to 2. Wing sweep is set up here to auto. APU, we can go and turn that off now that we are getting ready to take off. And now all we have to do is brake. We're going to go and give it full afterburner. And now when we watch here, afterburner is completely on. We're at 100% RPMs. Release the brakes. We're going to keep our nose on the center line. Start rotating. We have positive rate of climb. Flaps go up, gear goes up, and we are off. We're going to build some speed. Okay, now we're going to go over carrier landings and carrier takeoffs. So we are going to pick our aircraft carrier that we want to go land at, which is right off our nose, a little bit off to our right, and start rotating into it. We are very high up, so we are going to give up some of our altitude in exchange for some airspeed. City's off to our side. Everything looks great. We'll just come down here and give the tower a nice buzz.
Pull up, pull up, pull up. Altitude, altitude. Pull up, pull
going to fly parallel to the landing because it does not line up exactly with the wake of the ship. And so you see when we are flying directly over it in parallel, we're at about 350 degrees. So that is where we are going to want to be heading when we come in to land on the ship here. So as we start to enter our downwind turn for the carrier, we're going to go ahead and come down here and drop our hook. We want to keep it under 300 knots while we're doing all of this. And before we drop our gear, we want to be about below 250. So we are now entering the downwind of the carrier. We're going about 290 knots at the moment. See that we're flying parallel to it. Checking, making sure everything looks good. Hook is down. We're going to go ahead and set our wings to forward. Flaps to 2. Now you see, because we have our flaps down, we increased our drag, so we're going to start losing some speed pretty quickly. So it's very important to stay on that throttle and just keep feathering it as need be. And so we're going to start entering our turn for the final. So we're going to go ahead and give us some power to get through this turn. Turning at about a 20-degree bank angle. See our airspeed's dropping. We're about 236. So because we're at 5,000 feet right now, so we need to lose some altitude. And in doing so, we will gain some airspeed. So we'll go ahead and drop our gear. We are coming into this final. We need to really lose some altitude. Use our air brake as needed. And then the next biggest thing is making sure that our angle of attack is correct. And so if you look here, right now we're going about Mach 0.33. We're at 1G. And our angle of attack is at 5. We want that to be about 8 as we come in. We want to be going about 170 knots. So we're going to start lining ourselves up with the runway, making sure that we adjust for wind as needed. At this point, we're not going to be doing much with our pitch or bank. Most of what we're going to be doing is with our throttle. We're going to keep it good, centered, centered, centered. And you throttle all the way up at the end, because if we did not catch that wire, we want to make sure that we're going to be able to get back off. But that was a okay carrier landing. And so now that we're here, we'll go ahead and pull our hook up, set our wings to back, flaps go all the way up, and then we are going to taxi out of the way. So whoever is next will be able to come in for a landing, no problem. We are going to go over carrier takeoffs. So we are on the carrier. We're going to have our brakes on. Plane is powered on. Everything's good to go. First thing first is we're going to come over here to our launch bar. We're going to go ahead and extend that. And we are going to taxi to our catapult. Make sure our nose is lined up nicely. Nice and easy, keeping it straight. And then you'll see that we click right in. So you're going to go ahead and make sure your throttle is all the way down. Come here, set your wings to auto. Flaps set to 2. Make sure your launch bar is still down. Turn your catapult trim on. check, make sure everything's good. I'm going to wipe out our controls, make sure that's all working nice and dandy. Alright, now all that is left is for you to grip the handle with your right hand, hold your throttle, full afterburner, and away we go. Now that we're up, we have positive rate of climb, flaps up, gear up, and we'll come down to here and we're going to bank into a turn out of the way of the aircraft carrier. So that way if we were to crash or go into the water, we don't get run over by said aircraft carrier. And away we go. I'm going to come here and turn our armaments on. Set this to air. Grab some AIM-120s, pull up our radar, turn that on, click SOI, which is our sensor of interest. So now when we move our joystick with our right hand, it'll actually adjust it here. And we are going to go look for some bogeys. So we'll see here, got some right there, so I'm going to go and just pre-lock them. They're there. As we get a little bit closer, we'll go ahead and lock on. We'll get the shoot notification. You'll see the little dot that my big circle I can sit here and play with. When that dot is in the circle, pull the trigger and your AIM-120 Fox 3 is away. Boom, splash one.
Shoot. Pitbull. Shoot.
Splash 2.
Over T. Over T. Over T. Over T.
Very, very fast. Acquired. Coming in with the AIM-9.
Shoot.
Turn defensive.
Over T. Missile launch. Chaff flare. Chaff flare.
fuel, so we are going to go ahead and request refuel.
Echo 1-1 tower, copy. Fly heading 114. Expect runway 29.
So while I'm talking, so what we're going to do is see here on the jettison selector system, a couple of these things are crossed off. Okay, so what we can do is we can just come here and click these things that are empty, come to our jettison selector panel, jettison those, and they're away.
Echo 1-1 cleared to land on the carrier.
So we have clearance to land on said aircraft carrier, so getting ready for it. It is moving while we are flying, so that is one important thing to keep, in mind. Make sure you retract your launch bar. We'll go ahead and set our wings to forward. We're going to hit a pretty tight turn right now just to shed some of that airspeed. And then because we're still at 8,000 feet above sea level, we don't need any of our engines, and we can just give up some of our altitude in exchange for some airspeed. So, coming in. So right now our speed is under 350. We're going to go ahead and drop our hook. We're going to go ahead and set our flaps to 2. And that right there is going to shut off. It's going to increase our drag, and it's going to shut off a lot more airspeed. Turn off our armaments and our radar so nothing's actually interfering with us. We're going to come in at a pretty steep angle, landing gear down. Make sure that we're good. 214, 209, 210. And the ship is going to start moving.
You're high. Right for lineup. You're high.
Ball.
Wave off, you gotta go around.
Yeah, no, we're not waving off.
2-wire. Welcome back. Follow the taxi path to your parking area.
And just like that. Echo 1-1 ball. See, our airspeed is good. We're going about 150. It's actually a little fast for it. Let's make sure that we're good for lineup, because the ship is turning.
Over T.
last thing when we were inside the EF-24G, and arguably the most important thing in this entire cockpit. Let me just turn that down. It's this yellow handle right here at our feet. See this? Right here? And away we go. Bye, carrier.